Let's do it. Best of 2020 movie edition.
Woo!
So we obviously already covered TV a couple weeks ago. We've gotten a chance to catch up on some more movies. Even despite a pandemic and movie theaters being closed, there still were a lot of films this year. Not many that JP watched.
I didn't even know movies came out
He
this
went
year.
down the
I'm
rabbit
sorry.
hole throughout this year of watching movies pre-2020, which nothing wrong with that. It gives a lot of variation for the what we watch section of our program. But yeah, surprisingly, there were a lot of good movies still this year. There's a fair amount of variation between the four of our lists. Similar to last time, we'll start with our number 3 picks, work our way up. And Corey, we will let you start with your number 3 pick.
So my number 3 was Christopher Nolan's zany time travel epic known as Tenet.
Not time travel.
Yeah.
Inversion.
Time travel.
There's time travel.
It's time
Tenet.
travel.
There's time travel.
It's his.
Uh-oh.
It's an overlap, I guess.
You said you understood the
time
movie,
inversion.
But clearly you don't. It's not time travel. It's
time
inversion.
Oh no! Are we
time
gonna
inversion, time manipulation. Okay, so yeah,
It's time travel.
It's a different way to do it.
Chris Nolan disagrees.
He does, but he disagrees about
He's
his
wrong.
sound mixing
it's time
too.
Travel.
The director of the movie and his entire concept. He's wrong.
His sound mixing.
I've got a little treat for you guys. I have Christopher Nolan joining our call right now. Chris.
Christopher Nolan,
no.
you're wrong.
You don't understand your own product.
Yeah,
you market it as
suck
time
at sound
travel.
mixing.
This movie was definitely. I mean, I still have to catch up on a lot of movies from 2020, but as of the ones that I did see, this one definitely stuck with me. I've seen it twice now. I think it's definitely one of my favorite movies from Nolan. It's just it's so different than anything that I've really have seen before. And it has like his signature twist on it. It's just a great popcorn flick, that has a lot of substance. And definitely out of all the films that I've seen this year, it stands out in a lot of ways. Great cast, great action. It's just definitely one of the best movies for me that I saw this year. I find it funny because I feel like this movie we should have seen such a long time ago if it was a perfect world. If you go back and think about when the movie was supposed to come out. And then, all of us finally got a chance to see it only recently. So, but it was worth the wait. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Definitely going to watch it for a third time and probably a fourth, and hopefully understand the film a little bit more and its time travel-ness.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, Doug and myself both have it on our lists as well. We'll get to their placement as we go along. But yeah, what surprised me about the movie was how much, while as large scale and crazy as it is, I mean, the stuff that I liked the most about it was just the story between Elizabeth Debicki, John David Washington, and Kenneth Branagh. They're just like yin and yang of being a good and bad person, and how you treat Elizabeth Debicki, because she goes through the ringer with Kenneth Branagh, and good thing John David Washington comes into play.
Yeah, when I thought back about 2020, this is a movie where I just saw it pretty recently. And when it ended, I was just like, I really enjoyed that movie. There's not a lot of movies I've seen this year where I was just like, just walked away like really happy
Outside
with the movie.
Outside of Hubie Halloween.
Outside of Phoebe Halloween.
Spoiler, my number one movie of the year.
This was one of them for me, and so that's why I definitely placed it in my top movies of the year. I thought my wife pointed out that it was weird how much John David Washington cared for that character, the female character. Who's the actress?
Elizabeth Debicki, the giant.
Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah.
She towers
which I
over
thought
everyone
was
in the movie.
which I thought was a fair critique. Script probably could have used like some fine tuning, and but it didn't matter. It was still awesome. I still loved it.
Yeah, I
It's
think
super
that
convoluted. It's a super convoluted plot, but I dug it. Definitely not as like streamlined and as easy to follow as Inception, which says a lot because a lot of people didn't, including myself, didn't think Inception was particularly easy to follow either. I had to see that multiple times before I felt like I understood what was going on. And even now, I still kind of debate about different parts of that movie, but I enjoyed it. I got what I wanted to get out of a Christopher Nolan movie, um, and so that was nice. He did some cool stuff visually, as he always does. The airplane crashing was neat. I enjoy the practical. I think that's something that you could tell was done practically.
how did
Um,
I don't know if we covered this previously. How did you feel about Ludwig Göransson subbing in for Hans Zimmer
I
for
thought
the
he
score?
killed it. I thought he killed it.
yeah, I agree. I think he did a great job on the music.
Yeah,
But I thought, yeah,
dude,
just as
he killed it
just as
between
good.
that and Mando this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I watched like I'm gonna get sidetracked, but I watched like him making the Mando music, and he just like took a recorder and started doing like the sound, and was like just starts adding instruments and just like goes from there. But it all started with like a recorder, and I was like,
Yeah, he layers it.
this man's like crazy. He
It's
just
pretty
like
wild
fucking
that
he's a genius.
he in
Yeah,
the past
I'm
year
excited to see what
Yeah, his
he's
style is
like a
great.
young guy.
I don't know if I ever told you back in the day. This was like 2011. I went to the city to see um, Childish Gambino, like Donald Glover. Um, he was playing at like a bar. This is the second time I attempted it and actually saw him that time, unlike the time JP and me tried, and he wasn't actually anywhere. Um, but after the show, we were out on the street, and Ludwig's just standing there, like just chilling, talking to people. Naturally, I was trying to talk to Donald Glover since I was a Community fan and a fan of his music. I knew who Ludwig was just because he produced all of his stuff, but I fucking regret not going over and talking to him as well. Since now he's kind of like the 2020s king of like movie music at this point. I mean, he's done what just in the past few years: Mandalorian, Tenet, Black Panther, um, Creed. He basically does everything for Ryan Coogler. And
Was he super chill? He seems like he's like a chill
oh,
guy.
oh yeah, no, he was super chill. Like he was talking to like a lot of females. Which is odd. But yeah, no, it's cool just for him. I mean, he
Just like
subbed it.
smoking a joint.
Now he was on the streets of New York City. He wasn't smoking a joint back in maybe now, not 2011. Um, but yeah, I mean, he subbed in for John Williams for Star Wars. He's subbed in for Hans Zimmer for Christopher Nolan stuff. And he's knocked both out of the park.
So hot right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah,
his style is very unique, like for his scores. It's you kind of like when you've heard a bunch of his scores, like you kind of know, like even with Hans Zimmer, it's the same thing. Like you just know that it's his his type of works.
there was one Mando episode this year that reminded me of the music in Tenet. I think it was like maybe like the sixth. I think it was the Boba Fett episode.
Yeah, I
Um,
could see that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, no, I dig his stuff. So I'm excited to see more of that.
You
Anything?
respect what he does.
Definitely, I know who he is. I respect what he does. I respect him. Anything else about Tenet from either of you guys?
No.
No, just that it's definitely a movie worth seeing. For if you're going back and looking at like good movies for 2020. Um, Subtitles are recommended, but it's good. I enjoyed it. I think it did what it needed to do.
All right. If we think of anything else about it, by all means, jump into it when we get down to where it is on your lists and my list. Um, Doug, you're number 3.
Yeah, so I went a little since we didn't get a lot of mainstream movies this year. I started going down the independent rabbit hole, and Sound of Metal is one of those movies, independent movies that I enjoyed. Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I don't know if people listening are familiar with it, but the movie basically follows a drummer in this metal. They call it a band, but it's really just him and another woman.
So it's like the
Um,
White Stripes.
yeah,
But metal.
but metal.
I heard metal fans were like, "This is not metal. Stop saying it's metal."
Might not be. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't
haven't
know.
seen it either.
It's not good. The music, like we were like, can we? Or my wife was just like, can we fast forward through like their performance? um, but they play it. But he like rapidly starts losing his hearing, which I don't think in real life happens that way, from what I've heard. But the drummer like very rapidly loses hearing in both of his ears, um, to the point where he can't make out what people are saying, and so he enters a rehab. He's also, I guess, got a drug addiction problem that they didn't really focus too much on in the movie. But he enters a rehab. He enters rehab, but it's like a deaf rehab, and so he has to learn how to like do sign language and be like a deaf person because he can't communicate with people. Um, but what I think, like, just thinking back on this movie, what I think the movie did particularly well was that they do a good job of putting you in the shoes of the person that's of this guy that's deaf, and so like one of the scenes he's going to the pharmacy to try to get help, and you can't hear what the pharmacist is saying because they like muffle it in the sound editing. So you kind of feel you're in his shoes where you're like, what the fuck is this person saying? And then they'll take you outside of his shoes so you can actually hear what's going on. And they do a good job throughout that movie of kind of like putting you in his shoes. And that's what I really liked about this movie is I felt like I empathized with the character a lot, where I was like, oh shit, that would suck if I couldn't hear what anyone was saying. We gotta learn how to do sign language, like interact in this deaf community that I've never been a part of before. It just it was eye opening how losing like this sense of hearing would just like completely change your life.
Yeah.
And it really like did a good job of making me feel like what's in this guy, like being in this guy's shoes, of just like not being able to understand what people are doing, or what people, I mean, not what people are doing, what people are saying. And um, yeah, I just thought the movie did a good job of making me feel how this character felt and understand like his frustration. In, I mean, the guy was in a band. I'm putting myself in his shoes,
Like sound is incredibly
but
important
like
in what
sound
he
is what he
does, what
relies
he
on.
loves. Yeah, that's brutal.
And
Could you
so
say that
like,
he was in a death metal band?
oh,
I got you.
I'll see myself out.
but yeah, the way
Dum-dum.
that I thought they did that particularly well, is making me empathize with the character. I thought the acting was really well done. Um, but yeah, it
There was
also
no,
kind of like brought me into like the deaf community, which I didn't really know a lot about. My wife was like, did took like American Sign Language courses in college and things like that, and so she was able to kind of like explain to me like things that like the movie doesn't spoon feed you about the deaf community. She was able to kind of explain to me like, oh, this is what they're doing and that's what they're doing, which I know most people don't have that, and I think maybe that's a negative about the movie is they don't spoon feed you, and so you don't necessarily know what they're talking about. But overall the movie was well done. I like that it was something different, and I like that it put me in the shoes of somebody that would lost their hearing and what it's like to try to live your life and do like completely normal things and not be able to hear what people are saying.
It sounds.
Um,
I don't think any of you guys have seen what I'm going to refer to. There's an episode of Master of None, Aziz Ansari's show, that it followed the perspective. The whole episode is just following the perspectives of like three random New Yorkers, and one of them is a deaf woman. And so for 1/3 of that episode, I believe, it follows her POV, and the sound is off for that third of the episode. And it was just a really neat experimental type of thing where you're following this woman as she's trying to interact with people that, well, yes, like she interacts with people that know sign language, going to the store and trying to interact and things like that. It sounds like
yeah,
it reminds me of that.
it does sound a lot like that. It sounds like someone took that episode and made it into a movie.
Yeah.
He's not like completely deaf, so like you hear stuff, but it's muffled to the point where you might as well not hear what people are saying.
And hearing aids wouldn't work in this type of case, I'm assuming.
No, it's to the point where like hearing aids wouldn't work. I think his only option in the movie was cochlear implants.
Gotcha. Damn.
Didn't it happen to the lead singer of AC/DC very recently? He was kicked out of the band because his hearing was so bad, and then they eventually brought him back in, I think.
Angus Young?
Wow.
I think it was Angus.
Young.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got kicked out, but I know he had hearing issues. He was losing it.
He got kicked out for a quick minute, then they managed to like bring him back because he was. I don't know if it was Angus or not, but the doctor basically said you do like 3 or 4 more shows and you're not gonna be able to hear anymore.
Yeah.
And he's an older guy, an Australian, so he's like, fuck you
to hear.
I don't believe a single word you're saying. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that was kind of the Sound of Metal, where they were just like, if you play any more shows, like you're gonna completely lose your hearing.
It's similar to like when you hear like athletes.
He's back at a show.
Yeah.
Like when athletes are told, like, if you get hit like one more time in the head, like really badly, like
you're done.
Yeah, it's like similar to that, just a different profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just crazy, like that's your livelihood, like that's all you know. And you have a doctor telling you like you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Find something else.
So was Riz Ahmed as good as people say? As good as the critics
He was really good, yeah. I thought he was really good. I thought he did a really great job. I thought this, like I said, I thought the direction of it was also really good. So I think it was a combination of those two. But yeah, I think is he like a hot pick for Oscars season?
Yeah, he's somebody that people have been talking about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see him getting nominated. I think there's performances I like better this year.
Cool.
So
we'll get to our performances at some point later this year, probably closer towards like a award season, which is late this year.
Yeah, this is one that's on my list that I definitely want to watch sooner than later.
And it's on Prime Video, right?
Yeah, it's Prime. It's free. It's easy enough to watch.
Cool. All right. JP, your number 3 is an interesting pick.
Yeah, my number 3 is
controversial.
Is 3 of 4 movies that I've seen this year.
No, you've seen like 10. You just didn't like 6 or 7 of them.
That's true. I didn't like a whole lot of them. This I will say is my most watched movie that came out in 2020 because I've watched it twice now
in 1 week.
In 1 week, and that is of course Wonder Woman 84, which a lot of people have been shitting on, and I still don't understand why, because I don't think it's that bad of a movie. I thought it was rather entertaining. Even the second time, it was still pretty damn entertaining, and the villains are fantastic.
The villain.
No, both of them.
No,
There's 2 villans.
There's 2 villains.
I know, I'm just saying the villain
equally as compelling.
Fantastic.
And I will say, I didn't see it the second time. The first time they showed Cheetah, she is fucking horrifying looking. not in like a stupid way, but actually kind of intimidating looking.
Yeah, you wouldn't
The
want
non-CGI cheater.
you wouldn't want to
GI,
cross her.
Yeah, when they show her like calmly walking over the top and her
it's
eyes are
Kristen Wiig.
glowing, that is fucking horrifying. The rest of that, it looks better than the trailer did, so they at least put some work into that. There's still two completely horrible shots in this movie, and that's where she's running through DC and then throws the thing. So she's running, but it just looks so fucking fake. And then when they're
Her
in
feet
Egypt,
don't even like touch the ground. I don't think.
no, they don't. It looks so bad. And then the worst one, and this is like on the level of American Sniper bad with fake children, is in the car chase in Egypt when she saves those two children and she's tumbling. The kid's arms are like rock solid, and it's so clearly a mannequin that's tumbling with the stunt double. It's laughably bad, and it's like someone watched that and was like, "Fuck it, no one will notice," but I did twice.
No one's gonna watch this movie more than once.
Yeah, I noticed it the first time, and I had a nice laugh, and I showed my wife, and we both had a real nice laugh about that. That was fucking terrible.
I can't see that. Was it really like? I don't remember seeing that. I remember like feeling like the kid hit the ground pretty hard, but like
the
really,
arms
like,
don't move at all.
American Sniper is pretty bad.
Dude, it's so clearly a mannequin in this. It's pretty bad. Yeah, other than that, I think it's just a fairly entertaining movie. I like some of the cheese, and I like the villains. I don't think Gal Gadot really did a very good job acting, but that's
She never
par for
does.
the course.
Is it Gadot or
Chris-
Godot?
Gadot.
I
think
always
it's
Gadizzle.
Dot. She pronounces the T, but very like
okay
subtly.
because I always said Gadot back in the Fast days, and then I switched it to Godot, thinking I was saying it wrong, and I guess now we're going back to Gadot.
We're going
let's
back.
Let's go live in that Gadot phase.
So this is fun.
The sheer lack of things that I saw this year that entertained me, this thoroughly entertained me. I figured it deserves number 3 on my spot.
Hey.
Buckle up, it's a ride for my 3.
Well, nothing wrong with that. All right. My number 3 was Tenet. So for this section, we are going to have our entire conversation that we had for Corey's, but we're going to do it backwards. So this is going to be fun. We're going to say every single word from that last portion, but backwards. So get ready.
Hey, it's like not time travel.
It's inversion. It's completely different. It's palindromes and shit like that. But seriously,
Race car.
I mean, if we got into spoilers, there's time travel.
I know what you're saying, and I agree with the fact that it very
still-
much seems like time travel.
It still is time travel.
While
It's
they
time
just
manipulation.
they just claim that it's inversion, where you're inverting yourself back in time and can
Yeah,
do things
yeah, I
completely
mean,
differently when you're back in time.
It's just a different
But,
Who could
method.
forget that? Who could forget that classic inversion movie, Back to the Future?
Inversion to
All
the
right,
future.
Doug, let's not get too crazy.
I believe that the original title was Invert to the Future.
Yeah, the
But
method is just
they
different.
changed it for some reason. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis were like, nah, a little confusing. Let's call it time
You
travel.
know why? It's because Chris Nolan inverted Back to the Past and copyrighted it before Back to the Future.
He
came
went
out.
back to 1984, changed things before it came out in 1985. Makes sense. That was probably their wish in 1984. They talked to the guy from your movie, and boom.
Yeah, Chris Nolan was like, "This is your cousin, Marvin Nolan."
Sir, I can't understand you. You sound like you've never talked to another human being in your life.
Yeah, you know that new
You need to keep
inversion
this one
movie you've
pretty
been
close to
looking
your
for?
chest.
Well, listen to this. Boom.
Oh man.
All right. Let's loop it back to Corey for your number 2.
No, we're not talking about Looper. Leave that movie out of this. That came out fucking years ago,
That
man.
doesn't count as time travel either. They're looping.
They're doing the loop thing, method.
The loop method.
So my number 2 is another time-centric, time manipulation film, Palm Springs. So Andy Samberg stuck in a time loop at like a resort, and he meets this girl that ends up getting stuck in the time loop with him. It's hilarious. Definitely one of the most unique films I've seen, not only this year, just in general. Just the dialogue and the way that the movie unfolds was way different than I was expecting. Because I know Murph recommended it to me, and we watched it like one night. I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew it was about like a time loop.
I believe
And
all 4 of us watched it, and it's on another list.
yeah.
Whose list could that be?
So I mean the cameos were awesome. Yeah, I mean it's, if you like comedies and you like time manipulation, definitely would recommend checking this movie out for sure. It was definitely one of the most unique films I saw this year. So,
Yeah,
JP.
and JP, you have it on your list.
Yeah.
You have it
Yeah.
on your list.
It's
So, anything you want to add?
also number 2 on my list
Mhm.
as well. It was great little rehash of Groundhog, and I thought all the performances in it were fun, which is surprising because it's a movie that stars Andy Samberg
I was gonna.
that I don't fucking hate. So
I was going to say. I mean, I did say it before you jumped on. When I projected that this movie would be on your top 3, I was like,
yeah,
JP, if you had talked to
pretty
him at
crazy.
the beginning of 2020 and told him,
if you had inverted,
yeah, if we inverted back to the beginning of 2020 and told him that one of his 3 favorite movies of the year is going to star Andy Samberg, he would never fucking believe it. I feel like you would
no,
have thought the
I still
pandemic
don't
was
believe
more
it.
possible than fucking liking this Andy Samberg movie.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And he does a good job carrying it.
Yeah.
So does I actually forget who the fuck's in this movie too. I know that J.K. Simmons is in it.
Yeah,
Who's
J.K.
the female
Simmons,
lead?
Christina Milioti.
Kristen Milioti.
Don't know who she is, but she did a great job.
She's a Jersey
Yeah,
folk.
and she's a Jersey folk. Just so many strikes against this movie. I still like
So
it.
many
Wow,
things you don't
look
like.
at that. So many things I don't like. No, I had a lot of fun, and when I was remembering movies of this year, this one actually made me laugh, and I remember taking a look at it and just truly enjoying it. I mean, it's Groundhog's Day, but in a modern, more raunchy, I guess, type of deal, like what you would do if you. There's a fair amount of suicide in Groundhog's Day too.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a ton of suicide.
There's lots of death in any time loop movie.
Oh, God,
Happy
I mean,
Death Day, as we've talked about extensively
It's true.
on this show this year or last year.
TV show Russian Doll.
Russian Doll, which you guys,
Yeah.
JP and Corey, still need to watch. Oh, I think it would be this way actually. If
Yeah,
Yep.
it is that way.
yeah. Although, wouldn't I be
Man.
facing you then? All right, fuck it. I don't know how. I'm inverting my finger.
We're inverting this episode.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
it's
gotta
just
watch
a
it.
solid. It's a solid
Yeah.
time inversion movie.
The fact that you guys both have Palm Springs on your list and haven't seen Russian Doll is a shame. You guys need to check it out.
Oh, and Doug, there is an awesome Russian Doll reference on Big Mouth, which is reason enough to continue watching that show.
Sweet.
Just
get
to season
I finished
4.
the first season, so I've just got to power through 3 more seasons.
There you go.
Do you have to watch that one in the shadows as well?
He does.
Probably.
A season and a half of that.
I think you just need to cut out sleeping and just start watching movies instead of sleep.
Seems like a solid plan.
Yeah, just invert when you have to go to work.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. I've never seen the goddamn movies, so.
No, yeah, just invert myself.
You got an idea there, my friend. All right. Anything else about Palm Springs?
No.
Not that I can think of.
All right. Doug, your number 2?
My number 2 was a movie from the newish anthology series, Small Axe, which is on Amazon Prime. The only episode I saw of it was the Mangrove and I really enjoyed the episode.
So is it a
Um,
movie or is it TV?
there, from what I've seen, people are counting it as a movie.
I've been seeing that
I
too.
think my instinct would have been
Never even heard of
TV
it.
because it's considered like an anthology, but I mean it's like a 2+ hour episode. I don't know. They're counting it from what I've seen. People online are counting it as a movie, so I'm going to count it as a movie too.
Fair enough.
Um, so the Mangrove uh, takes place in the 70s, and follows basically this guy that is from like the West Indies. It's not clear if he's from like Jamaica or what island he's from in the West Indies, but he's from the West Indies. He's had another establishment before in England, and he opens up this establishment in London. It's a restaurant, and a lot of other people from the West Indies kind of flock to this restaurant. And of course, like racism being a thing, gets like a lot of shit from police, and there winds up being a trial. A few people. It's a lot like the Chicago 7, in that there's like, I want to say like 8 people, all from the West Indies. That part is not like the Chicago 7, um, but it's like 8 people that are all part of this trial, and so they all have to kind of represent themselves in a London court trial, and it's cool. I dug it. I Thinking back on movies I saw this year, Chicago 7 was definitely one that I really liked a lot, and I felt like I liked this one more. It felt similar in the fact that it was a group of people being put on trial and having to defend themselves, but there were some differences in this one. I felt like this one focused, because it was all of a group of people that were of the same culture, like this West Indies culture. You kind of got a feel for that. There was like Bob Marley music. There was other Caribbean type music that are played throughout the movie. The trial was a little fairer than the Chicago 7. The judge actually like
Was competent.
was competent, which I kind of enjoyed, because I thought Chicago 7, the judge was like way too incompetent, that it just like wasn't a real trial and it was hard to watch. Um, but yeah, just like Chicago. I'm going to keep comparing this to Chicago 7 just because that's the other movie I saw this year that's very similar to it. But Chicago 7 felt like very much like a Hollywood movie, and this felt a little bit more intimate. Um, like when the verdict is read, the camera just stays on the restaurant owner, and his reaction as it's all going on. It just felt more intimate. Um, I don't remember the actress's name, but Shuri from Black Panther is one of the main people that are put
Okay.
on trial in this episode, and she kills it. She does an awesome job. Um, I think any doubts I had about her playing, like taking on the Panther mantle, um, I mean, this definitely showed me that she's got the chops to do that role justice. So that was neat. But I thought the acting all around was great. I thought the directing was awesome. Story was good. Just a movie I really enjoyed. I don't know if you guys have heard about Black Axe or Small Axe at all, but seems to be making a lot of rounds as far as top TV shows or top movies, uh, at least for like awards consideration.
Yeah, now I'm familiar with it. And I'm a big Steve McQueen fan. I saw his last 3 movies and really enjoyed Shame, and well, I saw his last 4 movies actually. I saw every movie he made, and I really like Shame and 12 Years a Slave. But despite how both of them are incredibly depressing movies, but and is Small Axe kind of like depressing as well, or is it more, or the one you saw of the five?
Yeah, so um, my wife had to stop watching about halfway through because she was like, "My blood is boiling. I cannot watch this movie anymore." And so I watched the second half of the movie by myself.
Gotcha. Sounds like
Um,
12 Years a Slave.
but I would say probably right when she left, it got better. Like I said, the Chicago Seven was the trial was just so infuriating because it didn't feel like they were getting a fair shot. This there was wins in the trial where you at least were like, okay, like the judge is sort of fair and that he's like giving them a shot to represent themselves. So in that respect, I thought it was less infuriating,
Are
but
you gonna watch the other four parts?
I think so. I think it's an interesting take because I'm so used to like American racism that London racism is just kind of like a new thing for me. It was interesting that like the racism was directed at black people that were from the West Indies because like that's not racism I'm used to seeing in America on TV or in movies. And so like seeing everyone like jam out to Bob Marley and the police bust in is just like it was kind of new to me with the bobbies. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I appreciate the fact that like it was kind of a different perspective, and I think that probably adds the reason I liked it. It was just because it was different. It was something I hadn't seen before.
All right. Did Corey or JP, did either of you hear of it previously?
No,
No,
this is the
it
first time.
doesn't sound like my cup of tea, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be interested in seeing this. So, um, 12 Years a Slave, I
Yeah,
did see. I don't really remember much about it, but I did like that movie a lot. Um,
it's definitely not for everybody.
yeah,
I don't. 2020 was pretty depressing year, and it's kind of like not definitely not an uplifting movie by any stretch of the imagination. So, um, as long as you know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Okay. JP, did you have any other words about your number two, Palm Springs, that you thought of
No.
in the last 5 minutes?
Nope.
Okay.
I got it
Um,
all out when Corey brought it up.
Fair enough. My number two film was Bad Education. It was actually released on HBO back in April, I believe, late April. And funny enough, I talked about it on the first practice episode that we did of Live Breathe Film. We didn't actually air it, but there were two episodes that we just did as practice, and this was on the first one. Um, so basically, this film it was at the film festivals back in 2019, and then I think it was the Toronto Film Festival, and then HBO picked it up there. But it blew my mind when I watched it that it was not like a theatrical film this year, because I thought it was fantastic and that Hugh Jackman, who was the star of the film, was absolutely worthy of being like a Best Actor nominee. I think if I'm not mistaken, yes, he lost the Emmy of Best Actor to Mark Ruffalo this year. But Mark Ruffalo was in a mini series, which kind of gives that more of an edge since it's a lot longer because they combine movies and mini series. But I thought he absolutely crushed it and was like the first time that I'm like, damn, is Hugh Jackman like a really good actor? And like we just don't know it because he does a lot of superhero movies. He does. Granted, he was fantastic in Logan. He does a lot of musicals, which, yes, he can sing and everything like that. Cool, but doesn't necessarily show his like dramatic range. Um, he's only really done so many straight like dramas throughout his 20-year career or whatever. But this one deals with him as a. Doug, you just watched it. He's principal, correct?
No, he's
or
like
is this superintendent?
superintendent or something.
Superintendent, but
Yeah,
he stays in the school that he's in, um,
correct.
and it's dealing with the fact that him and his assistant at the school have been embezzling money for years. They're out in Long Island. It's based on a true story, and a student at the school actually breaks the case that this members of the faculty have been stealing money from the school, like millions of dollars um, over years. And throughout the
Yeah.
movie, you're just seeing how much of a facade, like Hugh Jackman's character in particular, has been putting on. He's just not the person that he presented himself to other faculty, to students, the
To
parents,
you as like the
to the
viewer
viewer.
too.
Yeah, he's a completely different person than what you're expecting. Um, I guess the reveal about like who he really is comes even like more than halfway into the movie. Like you know the fact that he's been taking money, but you don't know much more than that. Um,
I
so
don't think I even knew that going into the movie.
okay, you didn't. Okay, I knew from the trailers, and I was like, oh,
Okay, I
this
was.
movie looks pretty cool. Um, it looks like
Uh,
slightly funny and slightly crazier than like a
do
truth
you
is
know
crazier than fiction type thing. Which
the woman that plays the reporter, the school reporter?
yeah,
She's
from
Muslim.
she was in
What do you
Blockers.
say, cockblock?
So yeah,
Yeah,
she was fantastic
cockwalkers.
in Blockers.
She was. There was like a fan petition. She was. People were trying to get her to be Miss Marvel.
I was gonna
Obviously, like
I was
she
gonna
doesn't
say
become Miss
Kamala
Marvel.
Khan. She would be like awesome for, but I guess she is a little bit older than the character would supposed to be. Um,
Yeah.
or she could just play high schoolers for her entire life, since all I know her from is Bad Education and Blockers. But yeah, the movie was it's solid drama, but with a good amount of um, comedy to it. Again, like the fact that it's as ridiculous as it is will just make you laugh. Um, but yeah, that was my thoughts on the film. And Doug, you just watched it, so you're definitely fresher than I am. If there was anything you wanted to add to it,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to talk too much about it just because it's not on my top three. But I do want to say it very closely missed my top three as far as movies. It's a great movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. Hugh Jackman, as Murph said, kills it in the role. I thought overall it was like the story was good. Um, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie throughout. I thought a lot of good acting. You got Ray Romano in there.
yes, I forgot about that.
Shit.
Yeah, he's like probably the third or fourth build person in the movie.
Yeah, he's not in it like a ton, but he's in it, and I thought he did a good
He makes an
job.
impression when he's in it. The
Um,
one of the kids from Jumanji from the last two movies, he's in it. He's a student at the school as well.
I thought
The main one from them.
you didn't talk about her but I thought Allison Janney just like knocked it out of the park too as her role, which was like assistant to the superintendent, or she
Yeah.
was like his second in command.
So she's
Um,
involved in the schemes and knows everything, and it's actually way worse than Hugh Jackman when it comes to taking money.
but yeah, I thought she did a great job too. This was definitely a top movie of 2020, and it deserves to be watched, and I deserves to be on a top list of 2020 movies. So I'm glad you included it.
Yeah, for sure. It can definitely be found on HBO Max. And we didn't mention it, but Palm Springs can be found on Hulu, Wonder Woman 84 on HBO Max, Tenet on VOD, Blu-ray, all of those, and The Mangrove on Prime Video. All right, and now let's get into our number one picks. Corey?
So not only is this my number one pick, but it's also probably the movie that from 2020 that I watched the most. The Invisible Man. I uh I really really like this movie. I thought I thought that the performances as a whole were fantastic, and this was something that I really wasn't looking forward to too much. I kind of went in with very low expectations for the most part, and it really blew it out of the water. Elizabeth Moss killed it, um, and it was just a really good spin on this well known Universal horror character. They uh, they really updated it and made it really not even terrifying. It was just it so much anxiety and tension throughout the entire movie. Like the build up and steadiness of the tension throughout the entire film was really 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 well done. So, and had some great twists in it. I know Doug and Murph saw it. I don't remember. I don't know if JP saw it, but did you?
No, I slept pretty well
Oh,
this year.
okay. So
I didn't have a ton of nightmares.
yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, then I've gone back multiple times. Since the movie came out, Murph and I saw it in theaters, and then when it got dropped as an early release on VOD, I picked it up and watched it a bunch of times since then. It's a great movie. Yeah, I have really no complaints. Maybe other than the length. Maybe it's a little too long, but it's just fantastic, fantastic film. Definitely my favorite of the movie that I've seen this year.
It's a Universal Monsters film.
Yep.
It's like actually the
Yep.
original
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
what's interesting about this movie, and I read about this pretty recently. This was actually supposed to tie into the Tom Cruise Mummy
Oh
movie,
Lord.
I
and
bet.
when that because they were going to do a monster universe, cinematic universe,
Yeah,
and
the
when that
dark universe.
yeah
Yeah.
when that movie bombed, they had to go back and kind of rewrite. I'm pretty sure the film itself.
Recalibrate it, and Blumhouse took over.
Yeah, I think I read that a lot of the story is very much the same. They just had to remove it from that continuity, I
Yeah, probably
guess.
Tom Cruise popped in as the
Yeah,
mummy,
I
and
can't imagine this
Russell
being
Crowe
an
popped in.
R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if
I was
this
gonna
was
say,
supposed
is
to be
there like
part
a
of that
post
whole
credit
dark
scene somewhere?
if this was going to be part of that dark universe, it would not have been like the R-rated, like kind of
No.
brutal movie it was at points.
No.
Um,
But
but
They-
they did a really good job with kind of making it, well, definitely modern day, and then kind of making it as realistic as it could possibly be.
yes.
Like the guy's not actually invisible, um, so they did a good job with how they like it's technology that's like involves mirrors and things like that.
And
Like
cameras.
yeah, like you
yeah,
can if you
like
fucking hit
how
him with a bat and like you'll be able to break some stuff, I imagine. And part of me because I saw the movie 10 months ago, I don't remember everything.
Hmm.
Um,
yeah. I mean, it's some of the. I don't think they had a huge budget on this movie, but they do a good job of like lingering camera shots where you just like kind of feel like somebody's in the room, like the way they shoot a shot with Elizabeth Moss. It's kind of shot maybe like wider where it should fit as another person, but there isn't anyone there, and so you can kind of feel a presence even though you don't see anybody there. So like I thought they did a great job just like shooting that movie where it just was like you just kind of felt like there was a presence even just by the way they shot
Hmm.
the movie, but rather than like showing anything. But I guess a knock I would have on this movie is just there's only so many times I can see Elizabeth Moss get abused, and Handmaid's Tale kind of like
I haven't
I'm
seen
already
that.
at my limit.
I haven't seen that, so this was one of the first for me.
Yeah, that probably helped you because I was just like, all right, like I'm numb to Elizabeth Moss getting like
figuring way and
abused.
then figuring out ways to like fight her abusers,
Yeah.
which was way quicker in Invisible Man than Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
The one
for
thing
sure.
that they definitely played to. I mean, she's has a lot of strengths as an actress, but one thing that I've noticed with her is that she's just such a physical actress. Like you could just see like the turmoil and the pain like on her face. Like she does that so well, and they played to that strength in this movie. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why the movie felt so uncomfortable, as long as it did. I mean, it basically, I think the tension held until the end of the movie, just steady, and it just kept building a little bit. But, she was a great leading actress, leading character. She just knocked it out of the park, along with,
Yeah.
who played Adrian, the antagonist, Oliver Jackson Cohen, I think that's his name. So from Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, he was like terrifying in a very different way. Like, he was manipulative, abusive, obviously, and he was a genius. Like, the things that he did in the movie were pretty crazy. So definitely one of my number one.
Yeah, the team behind Mad Men definitely realized how much you can do just with Elizabeth Moss, like just looking at
Just abusing her.
zoning in on her face and
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna say that.
They were the first to
Just
abuse
abusing
Elizabeth
her.
Moss.
I mean, yeah, Don Draper wasn't like always the nicest person in the world to her, but no,
It's just like
she did
that's
not
her
go.
that's her
She did
role.
not go through what she's gone through on Handmaid's Tale or Invisible Man
No.
on Mad Men. All right.
No, she didn't. She just got like verbally abused by Don Draper.
Yeah. All right. Doug, we already covered your number one pick, which was Tenet.
Tenet,
and-
inversion, time travel, whatever you want to call it.
So, no shocker, a Christopher Nolan movie makes your number one. And
With time travel.
I don't think we've talked about anything more this year than Tenet. So it is fitting that it made somebody's number one. Any last words in regards to it?
It's time travel.
Fair enough.
Oof.
All right, JP.
Yeah, just like Doug's, it's no shocker that Doug's number one movie of the year is a Christopher Nolan film. It should be no shock that my number one movie of the year is a David Fincher film, and that's Mank. Truly, even outside of 2020, one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen in my life. It is shot so well, and the effects on it really looks like something that just was made by the eye and the mind of Orson Welles. And I think it hands down has one of the best acting performances by Gary Oldman of the entire year, because he just acts the hell out of this movie. He plays that character so well, and it's just, he's all over the place, and he's unpredictable, and it was just such a pleasure to watch this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. It's really all I have to say about Mank. It was truly a pleasure to watch this movie, and it's the number one thing that came into my mind when I thought, well, what have I watched in 2020? And it's Mank, 100%. It's my most anticipated movie of the year, and I feel like it really it met a lot of those expectations for me. Is it Fincher's best movie? No. Is it my favorite one from his? No. But I still really enjoyed it, and I look forward to watching it again.
Yeah, Fincher and Netflix came through on Mank.
Yeah.
It was,
hopefully more to come.
Entertaining. I don't think it had. I was like trying to look up how true or accurate it was. I don't think accuracy was something they were going for, but yeah, it felt like an older movie, which is definitely what Fincher was going for, and I thought he definitely succeeded. So
yeah, it looked like a movie that was shot back in the 30s or 40s. The only difference being how high quality the picture was. That is the only difference.
From the get-go, too. That opening title sequence, just from the get-go, you knew what you were getting yourself into. It's a great feeling. I mean, for someone that grew up, my mom always had old, like, Turner Classic movies on, so there's always a black and white movie on that TV. And it felt nice. There's a nice little warm feeling in my bones from that.
In your plums?
My plums. No, not my plums. It's childhood memories, Murph, not my plums memories. No, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I cannot wait to watch it again.
Well, first you have
Okay.
to watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is
Yes.
also
First, I don't have
which
to
is-
do anything. I can watch.
which is also
Ugh.
on Netflix tomorrow.
Watch it.
Do you know how many times I've watched Zodiac,
I
Murph?
know, but this could be another one that you add to your rotation.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like that movie, but we'll
You
see.
like
It comes on.
you like his
it
other
comes on
serial
Netflix
killer
tomorrow.
movies.
You will definitely
I do.
like this movie.
Comes on Netflix tomorrow. So
I'll make
Yeah,
an
it's
event
good
out
bad
of
that
it.
you like it.
it would be
based
pretty.
on your love for all things
It
Fincher.
would be great to talk about next week if you watch it.
Yeah, I will plan on watching that then.
Woohoo! All right, but yeah,
I'm gonna watch Chef again or something stupid. You know that's gonna happen.
yeah, but Mank's on Netflix. Invisible Man is on HBO Max. Just covering all our bases here. All right, and now we will do my number one, which is only in theaters as of now. It was what I was originally planning on talking about for what we watched, but then when we were doing this list, I'm like, well, I cover it twice. Let's just save it for this. And it will be on VOD on Monday. I think like the $20 VOD. So options. But it is Promising Young Woman. It's the one that stars Carey Mulligan, and she's basically dealing with the aftermath of her friend being raped at a med school party, and how she deals with that, which is essentially minor. I don't want to fully spoil, but she's getting revenge on similar type of guys where she goes to bars, pretends she's drunk, and gets taken home by guys, and then deals with them accordingly. I will not say how. You can find out when you see it. But this film had a third act that um, stuck with me for. I saw this last week, and I've thought about it a lot since. Some very solid twists. They get you good a couple times. Maybe some you'll predict, but I don't know if you'll necessarily predict all of them, as some are pretty extreme or outrageous, however you want to define it. But it's anchored by Carey Mulligan. She gives a killer performance. I wouldn't be surprised to see her at the very least be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. But then what they did the best was they just had a like murderer's row of like familiar faces in the cast. Like there is not like one person in this movie that I didn't know from a movie or a TV show. Um, so you got like Bo Burnham, he's playing the love interest. Other classmates from his school included Max Greenfield from New Girl. You got McLovin and one of the dudes from Veep as like one, and Adam Brody as a few of the guys that she's dealing with are assholes. Along with Stifler's mom, and the warden from not the warden, the main guard from Shawshank Redemption, Clancy Brown. They play her parents, and I thought Clancy Brown was like really good in it for the small amount. Um, Alison Brie, Connie Britton. So you got Coach's wife in this.
Coach.
Laverne Cox from Orange Is the New Black. Alfred Molina. Literally everyone in this movie is like a name. So it was pretty impressive. But it's very stylish. It's kind of like similar in it's kind of similar in like um, style to Birds of Prey. Not the tone of the movie, but it's very like it's like cotton candy-ish, like the look and the colors and everything like that. And I found out afterwards that Margot Robbie is a producer of the film.
Oh, there you
So
go.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe her production company has a very clear style to it. But it was a first-time director and writer for film, Emerald Fennell. She was the showrunner of season 2 of Killing Eve. So I had previously watched that this year and liked that season a lot. So it was no real surprise that I would enjoy this film. But yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people are going to be talking about in 2021, since not too many people saw it in theaters over its first week due to the world. Um, I know, Doug, you had mentioned that it was something that you were looking forward to seeing from the trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought the trailer looked awesome. I've been dying to see this movie. Um, I think I checked a couple of days ago before I found out that you watched this movie to see if it was available to rent yet, and it's not. Um,
Yeah, the trailer was awesome.
but I've been really looking forward to this movie, so I'm glad to hear that you liked it and that it made your top movies of 2020. Because um, yeah, it hooked me right from the trailer. As soon as like basically what you revealed about the movie is what you see in the trailer, and like as soon as like you see that this guy take her home drunk and she like that switch flips and she's like you find out you figure out like she's sober and she's like fucking with the guy, you're just like, oh fuck, like where is this going?
Yeah, and
um
it does a good, like, it's a funny movie. It's not like a fully serious movie. It gets very serious at certain points, but it's also like pretty funny. And I guess like one of the recurring things is like the first thing like all these like guys think like when she reveals like she's not drunk is they're just like, wait, you're not drunk? And then and then they're like backing up. She's like, why is that your number one concern right now? Or like things like that. And just kind of like putting them on the spot. And it's different. It's not fully what I expected from the trailers. It's not as like thriller-ish or like as violent or anything as the trailers made one believe. But it's got some cool twists and turns. And I'll be looking forward to talking about it more um, in a couple weeks or however long when you guys get to watch it.
Sounds good.
All right. But yeah, that's it. That's 2020. Any honorable mentions or anything like that that you want to bring up from the year? Or if not, we can
QB Halloween.
wrap things up.
QB Halloween.
Yeah, no, QB Halloween was.
I just wanted to bring it up.
It deserves.
Nothing to say
I mean,
about
It deserves to be brought up.
if we're gonna bring up
Something.
movies, I don't need to talk about them per se, but Ma Rainey's Black Bottom I thought was a good movie. Trial of the Chicago 7 was a good movie of 2020. The Five Bloods was a good movie of 2020. So there are definitely other honorable mentions I had on the list that didn't make it to the top three.
Yeah.
That Charlize Theron movie from Netflix was
Oh,
pretty
the old
good.
Yeah,
guard. That
the
was
old
good.
guard was
The Old Guard.
was
The Old
surprising.
Guard was good.
Yeah, it was
Surprisingly
solid.
good. Extraction was a cool action movie. It wasn't like a good movie or anything, but it had some really cool action scenes.
Yeah, you could tell like a stunt guy is the one that directed it
Mhm.
because the action was awesome.
One
Yeah,
call out
he's
I
a-
have, Freaky. Freaky was awesome. That was a surprise, hit for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
Freaky, and the King of Staten Island were two from Universal that I liked a
yeah,
lot this year. That were close to making the list as well. And another Pete Davidson movie from Hulu, Big Time Adolescence. I thought that one was really good. That it's worth a watch if for people who want a comedy watch during this winter. Yeah, we'll cover. We're not done talking about 2020. We're gonna be talking about 2020 for the rest of our lives.
We're done. 2020 is over.
Yeah.
I'm done with 2020, dude.
Yeah, it's
I'll talk about
2021,
this
Murph.
again.
No, we're gonna, like I said earlier, we'll talk about some of our favorite performances of the year later on, things like that when we get into award season, like Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild, Academy Awards, all that shit. Later on this winter, spring. But yeah, that's all we got for today. Then, thank you for listening. Please like, follow, subscribe to our podcast, various social media pages, all things like that. Just so you guys know, next week we'll be covering our most anticipated films of 2021. So stay tuned for that episode. That should definitely be a fun one, and there will probably be a lot of overlap if history serves me right. But as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. Happy New Year.